Surfers discovered the Sunshine Coast more than 50 years ago, when cresting every coastal hill was an adventure, because who knew what perfect lineup lay beyond it? Hayden Kenny drove down to Noosa from the family farm in 1957 and could not believe what he saw.
I thought, now this is something else. Not knowing where that it'd end up where it is today, but I surfed it on my own for pretty much 4 years. Drive down to Noosa and here's this great geological layout of points and beach, and first time there was a little bit of rough surf down here, I hoofed it back to Noosa and christened the board there. You know, as I said, if you want to claim to be first to surf a place, you better first establish that you had a board and when you had that board, so the dates and everything line up. And here's from the 26th of May in 1957, when I inquired about the availability of the board. The 19th of September 1957, and he's given me a letter from him to say that the board's ready and it can be air freighted by TAA for £2 5 shillings. That's $4.50 air freight from Sydney to Brisbane for a surfboard. You can't even send a thong for that price now. And because then it arrived and I picked it up, and from that day on I started surfing it. So that was September 1957. Well, that is the photo of the surfboard, first surfboard in the state. There's the documentation to prove it. If someone can get something that precedes that, well then they can have the title. The thought of sharks was very prominent. The boards were buoyant, so you could knee paddle them, but it was a lonely existence, but that was overtaken, I think, just by the fact of what was on around you. You know, national park, all the trees come down to the ocean, and very little development as such. I can tell you a story about Witzig. Was a bit of an ardent photographer and contributed to the magazines, and he was up there photoing Cooper and myself and I think Algie Grudd. And anyway, Cooper went over and to inquire about his camera, and he had a look at the camera, and he knew a bit about cameras, and he flicked the back open and just took the whole film out and exposed it, which you know, immediately exploded. He's given him back and he said, "We don't want any photos. We don't want this." Well, you know, it did stop it momentarily, I suppose, but in the end it got overrun.
Noosa in the early 60s was early Australia, I mean it was 60s Australia. It was just laid back and nothing around and simple and complex, and it was heaven. The first time I came to surf Noosa was in late 1959 or early 1960, I'm not sure, but it was December or January, with this old couple, Ma and Pa Bendel. Pa was a World War II fighter pilot from Canada, but he took up surfing when he was about 40, 45, and we said, "Who's this really old dude," you know? He brought me up here one day, and we pulled into the car park up there, and the surf club then was a tin shed. There was hardly, just a few old houses along the beach. We went out here and we surfed from the point, and there was one guy in the surf club, he came out with us. So me and Ma and Pa and this guy paddled out here. At one point that day, Pa and I paddled to National Park and got a beautiful wave all the way down through Johnson's, and as I was paddling back out, admiring this beautiful headland with not a soul around, I remember feeling a bit lonely. I actually wish there were a few other people around. And surfing national, uncrowded on 8-foot days, that's about as good as it can get. With 2 or 3 guys out and surfing not for 5 or 6 hours, but for 8, 9 hours in the day, come in, drink some water, go back out again, drink water from the creek in the national park, and then race around and go off the ledge again and surf all day. But now, it's still heaven. Nothing's changed except the coffee's got better and the crowds have got far, far bigger.
Back in the 60s, when Bob McTavish and his merry men surfed these perfect uncrowded points, Noosa got very lucky. Within the community, there was a growing number of people who had come to live in an aquatic wonderland, a place of rocky bays, white sandy beaches, pristine waterways, and a magnificent coastal wilderness just across the river. They'd seen what happened on the Gold Coast, and they were prepared to fight to stop it happening here.
People don't realise how close we've been to losing all of this. The developers have been at the gates on several occasions, but it's only been the strength of those people who are willing to stand up and fight for our coastline who prevented us from suffering the death of 1,000 McMansions.
The battle to protect Noosa and the other great surf breaks off the Sunshine Coast is ongoing, and surfers and surfing have played a big part in showing the world why this unique coastline is worth the fight. In 2014, surfers of all stripes, from clubbies to hipsters, grommets to grandpas, got together to campaign for a Noosa National Surfing Reserve.
The concept of a National Surfing Reserve is as much to remind ourselves, as it is the rest of the world, that these aren't our surf breaks, we just get to play on them for a while. And it's our duty of care to ensure that they're still around for future generations to enjoy.
On the world stage, Noosa is a gem. The waves, there's still no place like it. I don't know anywhere with a socially comfortable setup that's got 5 bays, one after the other, that all work in their different ways, and they're all high quality.
Shortboard, longboard, finless and body surf. The idea was to take some of the best all-round surfers in the world to a remote location and let them shoot it out. It just so happened that one of the most beautiful coastal wilderness areas in the world is right on Noosa's doorstep.